My name is Daniel Dazi, and in our first story, Ghana's COVID-19 case count now stands at 52. This was revealed by the Minister for Health. The latest 25 cases were among those who arrived in the country and put in mandatory quarantine.
Out of the 185 test results received, we have 25 of those quarantined tested positive. If we add on to the earlier number of 27, it means we have 52 tested positive in our country at the moment. Those in quarantine, we have actually deployed psychologists to have chats with them. We have also, in the process of handing them over to our case management teams, we have set up. And they have started taking them to isolated centers for case management, meaning treatment. Definitely, not all of them will be critically ill, and they are not. Some might not be ill at all, but decisions on them will be on individual case management issue. If you are not even found to be ill, you still have to stay in quarantine for the mandatory 14 days. Earlier on, we were getting indications like if you test negative, we may release you after 4 days. But on advice, technical advice, and we've met all the doctors, we cannot do that. So we'll have to keep you for the entire 2 weeks, which is the 14 days. We have adequate room in Accra, various centers, to actually take care of all those that have been tested positive at the moment. But going forward, we have a team that is going around identifying places that we can set aside for isolation for case management, not only in Accra. What we have identified so far is that we can describe 2 areas in Ghana now as our own epicenters, Accra and Tema together, and Kumasi. We are doing what we describe as contact tracing. In Accra, we have deployed 98 field officers, epidemiologists, and community health officers that have been trained to be doing the tracing. And it looks like we are actually succeeding in getting to people. In Kumasi, we have deployed about 50 trained people who are also doing contact tracing. The advice I will give now, by this evidence, is the fact that wherever we are, all those of our brothers and sisters who have come in, we should advise them to put themselves in self-quarantine if we haven't tried them yet. And they should also be talking to the health authorities in the area where they live to send teams to observe them. They can be calling on telephone and be describing their conditions to the health officers they get in touch with, so that we can protect the rest of the population against community spread, that is the horizontal spread we are seeing in our country at the moment.
The National Security Secretariat, meanwhile, has outlined protocols for those in mandatory quarantine. 1,030 people are currently in mandatory quarantine, and they will be made reasonably comfortable.
Prior to arrival at KIA, the Kuteka International Airport, the pilot informs passengers of government-imposed mandatory quarantine. Subsequent to that, the immigration officials board the aircraft that come onto our tarmac or arrive in Ghana to confirm if passengers have been rightly informed. Now, if they have not, they pass on information to passengers before their disembarkation. 3, At the arrival hall, port health officials are the first in line to meet these arriving passengers and conduct medical screening of the entire passengers that alight. Point number 4. Passengers then move to complete their immigration formalities. Point 5. Whilst all this is going on, the airport announcements keep blaring and visiting repeated announcements of the need to observe social distances, just as we in this assembly here have observed some good social distance. Now, at that stage, the information on mandatory quarantine is again re-echoed to all passengers. Passengers move to the carousel thereafter to collect their luggage and wait until they are called to board their buses. The passengers return back through immigration, port health, and then drop their luggage in a conveyor belt. To show irritation and to show some kind of stress. The information can be distressing. And so, in pursuance of that, we have also gotten on board a number of psychologists. As I speak, or as we meet here in this assembly, there are a number of them that are actually proceeding, visiting the various facilities around the places that we have quarantined. Now, Honorable Minister, we, on our part, the security agencies will do everything in our might to ensure that those in quarantine are reasonably comfortable. It's a duty thrust that we will execute well. However, we urge them to also be cooperative with the officials and with all those kinds of persons that come into contact with them that are in the nature of medics, in the nature of security, also psychologists, both in their own interest and also in the larger interest of our country. I think that is a very great civic obligation which they have. For now, we will accommodate all those things and persuade them to be able to come to terms with the period of quarantine.
Now, the Immigration Service has meanwhile reported cases of people who were accosted trying to enter the country. Deputy Comptroller General Lord Dofori Frifa spoke at the press briefing.
Check on his passport revealed that he had flown in through USA. Ethiopia Airlines continues to fly to Lome. So we are watching that border post very closely because that is where we are seeing the tendency of persons moving through. And significantly, this Ghanaian is a medical doctor. We expected him to know better. The other two are Ivorians. They all hired vehicles from the Aflao border and were moving to Accra. The drivers and the vehicles have also been arrested, and they are all being sent into mandatory quarantine. And thereafter, the issue of prosecution will be considered. From Elubu this morning, 21 persons have also been arrested attempting to enter illegally. 5 Ghanaians, 9 Beninois, 3 Nigerians, a Malian, and 3 Ivorians. They have been sent back, but the Ghanaians have been retained and are being sent into mandatory quarantine. From our northern borders, totally shut. There have been attempts by Nigerians and Burkinabes to travel out of the country in buses. They have been stopped. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, we want to send a word of caution to our border communities and the transporters. We are not in normal times. So the manner they've been operating in conspiring to smuggle people in and out of the country should cease. The border communities form a critical part of our border management strategy. We expect them at this time to cooperate with the security agencies. They should rather inform us of illegal entries rather than aiding them. When the coronavirus hits, it will hit them too, and it will start from them.